Mr. Anson's new record. Mr. Anson's new record.
Who is Shahrazad Ali?
I think it's fair to say from our research that some people actually believe that this book will save black culture in the United States and help heal the rift between black men and women. Many others, I think it's also fair to say, think that it's potentially dangerous and harmful, especially to black women. Now, Shahrazad Ali is the author of one of the most talked about books in the community in recent history. And before we open our discussion up to debate, I want to begin, Shahrazad, just with you telling me why you wrote the book.
Called The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Shahrazad says she wrote the book because the black woman is completely out of control. She feels that black women need advice on how to handle their black men. And here's what she writes about the black woman.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Vibrations. I'm Raven Geary. Today on our program, one of the hottest properties making the talk show circuit, Shahrazad Ali. An established writer indeed, Ms. Ali is best known as the author of The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. A very controversial and, if I may say so, a very critical view of life of today's black woman. She joins us today in our studio, and of course we'd like to welcome you today to Vibrations.
Well, thank you, Raven, for inviting me.
Basically, it's your premise that the black woman is out of sync with the natural order of things. Can you explain that?
Well,
Shahrazad Ali, born April 27th, 1954 in Atlanta, Georgia, raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, attended Xavier University from 1964 to 1966, and Georgia State University from 1979 to 1980. Miss Ali has held many jobs in the field of news media, including the Cincinnati Enquirer as contributing editor, the Cincinnati Call newspaper, and the Cincinnati Post, both as feature editors, all in the late 60s. From 1967 to 1975, she worked as an editor at the Cincinnati Herald. Miss Ali was affiliated with Cincinnati's Highlights magazine from 1967 to 1975. In 1983, she was a medical transcriptionist. Later, Shahrazad Ali took the post of an assistant to the vice president of Clark College, Atlanta, Georgia, from 1983 to 1985. Miss Ali has been married twice since 1965. Neither marriage ended in divorce. Both gentlemen passed during the marriage. She also has 12 children, 9 through adoption. Her journey as an author began when her first book was published in 1985, the book entitled How Not to Eat Pork. Her next book was her most controversial book, The Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman, which was published in 1989. She also published The Black Woman's Guide to Understand the Black Man in 1992. Are You Still a Slave in 1994. Day by Day, published in 1996. And her latest controversial title, How to Tell If Your Man is Gay or Bisexual, published in 2003.
Tell me why you wrote the book.
I wrote it because we are the missing link in our communities.
We, black women.
Is the only information the black man has not had. And we certainly represent the only group here in America who have never been examined for the root causes of our behavior. The white man has been examined, the white woman, and the black man, certainly. Now, first, let me say, Geraldo, that my position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our family structure. I am not saying, wait a minute.
Okay.
Because this, as we know, will go to hell in a minute. Let me first tell you what I'm saying. Okay?
Some knowing chuckles from the audience.
But, you know, certainly the message has been misunderstood and sensationalized by the media, as we saw on the introduction of this show. What we have is a situation where we as black women have never been examined. We have never accepted our share of the responsibility for the condition of our black community. I am not saying that we are 100% responsible. I'm saying that the black man is 50% responsible and we are 50% responsible.
You know, I don't want this to be, if we lose half our time waiting for the applause to cease when someone makes a pro or con statement, we're going to use up half the show.
So what I'm saying
But let me just say that I read the book, and I don't read it that way. I read the book, and I think that when you have, it is impossible to sensationalize a book that uses quotes like, the black woman is a rat who behaves like a dog while purring like a cat.
What is your nationality?
I'm Puerto Rican, as the world knows.
Okay, well, I didn't write it for the Puerto Rican man. I wrote it for the black man. So, that's what I'm trying to demonstrate, that we have a very special man, and he has a set of very special needs, just like we have. We need to stop claiming that we are all the same. We're not all the same. We have the problems that come from the psychological trauma that we suffered in slavery that we have not revived from yet. And so we have to address that. And we can no longer pretend that it's the white man's fault, or that it's your fault, or anybody else's. I'm just saying, let's go into our homes and let's look at ourselves. The only civilizations where we have ever been successful, and the black man didn't have a problem supporting us, being in charge of our homes and raising our children until he was brought to this country and turned into a slave, and he lost his position in our home.
Well, I think you better clue us in on how they see us. So,
well, we have a situation where we as black women have been insulated in this society. No one would ever dare attack or insult or even examine a black woman. We have been above reproach because we were given some information about 30, 35 years ago that was actually, I think, designed to be a compliment. But what it eventually did was to separate us from our man. And that information was that we were the backbone of the black nation.
And justice for all, including the black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy.
That our own black man don't have no backbone, and that his women have to represent him as the strength. When, as you know, in your culture, the white male is the dominant, and he is always recognized as the most powerful. And actually, since the black man was the first man recorded on earth, he has a very strong backbone. He has the strongest backbone, and he is holding up all of the other nationalities that came after him. So I think if we get that straight and stop trying to hold on to a false reputation that we are the backbone of our nation, that then our families will start to get along better.
do you think, though, that the black man...
Can you tell us a little bit about the book itself? What brought you to this point of having to sit down and use your pen to write this book?
Well, actually, it was my first book. In 1985, I authored How Not to Eat Pork or Life Without the Pig. And at that time, I was going around doing what I was calling Get Off That Hog lectures. And during my travels, I noted that I would take the microscope and show people how you can't kill the trichina worm in pork by cooking it. Heat was not destroying the worm, and I would show them, the difference, and demonstrate how FDA was now using radiation to try to kill the worms in pork because cooking was not working, which is what we had always been told. And during that time, a lot of black men were in agreement to get off eating pork. They wanted to change their eating habits, and they were happy to find out some information that might possibly save their lives. But it was black women who were the most adamant, who refused to change meal planning techniques, seasoning food, cooking techniques. And so I said, it's interesting. I said, if we are refusing to provide the black man with the proper physical food when we know that food is what sustains life, then what else are we withholding from him? Possibly there are some other areas, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, that we are affecting his behavior by what we do or what we withhold and refuse to give. And that led me to try to find out. We've always heard that the black man leaves the black family, abandons his woman and children, won't take care of the children, won't work, stays out all night, turns into a drunk, takes drugs. We've heard a lot of negative things. Most of them are true. But I wanted to find out what happens before he gets to that point. what leads up to the breakdown. We've never gone back to try to find out what happens in the relationship between the black man and a black woman that makes him go off and do all of these bad things. To assume that this is just normal, natural behavior for black men would be to assume that he is naturally bad. And I do not believe that the man that God gave to us as a mate is a naturally bad person. And so I wanted to try to examine what goes on with him? What's his side of the story?
Today in our program. Can I just add something for just a moment? I had the opportunity to have lunch with you today.
Yes.
You are a very personable individual. You
Absolutely.
are sweet.
They just tried to
You're
make me a monster on television.
But can I say that if I didn't know about this book, on a first impression of you, I never would have thought you'd have written that.
Well, you may not have. Many of us have some talents that our larger communities can benefit from. You know, if I had met you somewhere, I might not have realized that you were a very popular and dedicated talk show host. I wouldn't have known that until you told me what you do. I believe that the message I'm trying to bring to my people is a message from God. I think that the only way our people get any message or information from God is through the people, and that this is a very important work I'm doing. This is not a game to me. It has a great emotional drain on me. People come against me with a lot of negative ideas. They come hard. They bring all the force that they have to bear, and I have to stand up under that.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't internalize. I don't let it go in. I expected us to have an emotional reaction, and I know that when you have a revolution or social change, the first reaction is emotional, but those people settle down. And so if I have to be the brunt of that in order for them to get to a better life, in order for us to have a better child, then I just have to take that. And of course, my own man has to absorb a lot of what I bring to him. Sometimes, every once in a while, somebody will get through, and they'll say something that'll, just be so penetrating, say, wow, listen at that. But I just don't internalize it, because I know that it's not me they really want to attack. Mm-hmm. They really want to just not have to take responsibility for their behavior. They don't want anyone to say that's wrong, because most of the negative practices we have, we've been doing them so long, we think that they are right.
The shockwaves of the world's first H-bomb rushed towards the onlookers, and spellbound they watched something never seen before.